In this episode of the Level Up Lounge, we sit down with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend Carlos Machado. And then we talk about integrity as a martial arts instructor. Let's kick it off.
You're listening to the Level Up Lounge podcast.
Level up.
Level up.
Level up.
Level up.
Level up. You're listening to the Level Up Lounge podcast.
Welcome to episode number 14 of the Level Up Lounge. Guys, I have to say, I have been waiting for this podcast episode for a long time. We have the legend Carlos Machado joining us, and it is an amazing interview. He's got a really, really interesting history, and if you guys don't know it, you want to definitely stick around for it. Talks about how his relationship with Chuck Norris really helped to propel him here in the States. And we also go over a lot of really good teaching tips from him. And if you guys have seen any of his videos on Facebook, you know he's the master of making every technique very teachable and easy to understand. So definitely stick around for that. Right after the interview, we're going to jump into the punch in the face segment.
A punch in the face.
And this week, I am focusing on integrity as a martial arts instructor and what a lot of martial arts instructors are missing and lacking in their school, but they're telling their students to do it and they're not doing it themselves. So make sure you guys stick around for that right after this amazing interview with Carlos Machado. All right, guys, welcome to the Level Up Lounge. I am really excited to be here with the legend, Carlos Machado. Carlos, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Adam, it's a great pleasure to be here. I know we've been planning this podcast for a while.
Yes.
And since we talked to Nick yesterday, don't wait, right?
Exactly.
You got to do it. So you got what it takes. You got the material. You got the technology. I'm here. I'm excited. I just want to share some good stuff with your listeners. And I'm honored to be invited to be part of this.
Well, we're honored that you take the time out of your schedule to do this, so we appreciate it.
It's all good.
I know that everyone in the BJJ world knows exactly who you are. You're one of the early pioneers of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in America. Mm-hmm. Can you give a little snapshot of your background for maybe people that don't know who you are yet?
All right. Okay, I'm the oldest of the Machado brothers. We are 5 brothers. Me, Carlos, then I have Roger, Regan, Jean-Jacques, and John. I came to the United States April 1st of all dates of 1990. So a lot of people played pranks on me. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I'm 53, and this year will be my 50th anniversary.
Wow.
Year 50 of doing jiu-jitsu.
That's amazing.
I started when I was 4. And it's a passion that never died out on me. I'm cousins to late Carlos Gracie was married to my aunt, Lair Gracie, also deceased. She was a second mom to me. And my relationship with my Gracie cousins comes directly from that lineage, from Carlos Gracie.
Sure.
But Uncle Heather was like an uncle to me, and all his sons are like cousins to me. Horion, Hickson, Helson, and Hoyce, and Hoyler, all those, love them all. But I was closer to the Carlos Gracie clan side by proximity. I'm cousin to Hanzo through my mom's side. Hanzo's mom is my cousin.
Okay.
And I always joke about that. Hanzo, even if I didn't want to be a relative, somehow we got entangled in the same family. Love the guy to death. It's like a brother too. But so the background is I was born in the midst, related to the Gracies. Started jiu-jitsu at age 4. I'm the oldest of the Machado brothers, but I'm an eternal white belt when it comes to martial arts view, okay?
That's great.
I'm always eager to learn, always searching for more, and I love what I do. So people think, who am I? I'm a guy that just has a passion for jiu-jitsu, and although I'm a coral belt now, I don't see the rank of master as making me any different than when I was a black belt, and being a black belt making me any different than I was a purple belt. I still have to pursue for more.
That's amazing. I love how humble you are about everything. And going back to the fact that you said you're always a white belt, just from being at the mastermind events with you, I love how you're always asking questions. I can tell that you're on that search for knowledge. And I think a lot of people that could be in your position wouldn't be as humble as you are with everything that you've achieved. So that's an awesome trait to have.
Thank you.
All right, so I know that you came to the United States, and I was just reading some history online, which not always everything online is true, of course. But I noticed it said one of the things that sort of helped you to get your first school up and running was Chuck Norris. So is that correct?
Yes. Okay. So a lot of times, you have different people at different times in your life that you
Sure.
meet, that you can see that it was a changing destiny. So everything was going in a certain direction. Then you met that person, and whatever your purpose is, whatever your mission is, that person was instrumental
Sure.
to ensure that you kept that path. Chuck Norris is one of those. Chuck Norris
Wow.
is an avid martial artist. He went to Brazil in the late 80s, got together with my cousins, got exposed to jiu-jitsu. In Korea, he was already exposed to judo with Jean LaBelle, did taekwondo, created his own system. He incorporates everything. He's a visionary.
Yep.
But he has always been an adept of jiu-jitsu. He loves jiu-jitsu. And when I came to the U.S. in the early 90s, I remember vividly one of the first things that happened through a common friend, Richard Norton.
Sure.
I was brought to Chuck Norris again. I saw him 2 years earlier when my cousin Jorge had the first ever Gracie Jiu-Jitsu seminar then at Chuck Norris's UFAF convention.
Sure.
So I got to see Chuck then, and I was like mesmerized by his humility, by him bringing somebody with a different martial art and introducing to his group that were still unaware of the benefits of Jiu-Jitsu, and he was one of the first proponents. We gotta do this. We gotta use this. I saw how it works. I want to see everybody doing
awesome.
this. So when I came back to the U.S., originally the intention was to work with Jorge, my cousin, who was opening on the verge of opening his first Gracie Academy. And me and my brothers, we have been raised in Brazil up to that point. We had different views. Wanted to do things maybe in a different way, so we chose to go our own way at one point in time. And we were in a limbo for a while,
Sure.
not sure where to go. You're here, everything was set in a certain way. And Chuck Norris came and said, he came to our home. We had a 3-bedroom rental in Redondo Beach, but we had a double car garage with mats. So he did his first private session with us over there with Higgin, and then Higgin came to his home. He had his own home gym there and stuff. So he started to do privates with us here and there. He said, man, you guys got to get a gym,
Yeah.
Let me hook you guys up. I have a mall that I co-own with Bob Wall, who was also an instrumental person at the time. So make a long story short, our first school, he did all the build out. We didn't pay rent for several months. So everything was done in a way that set us,
Wow.
our foot at the door. So how many people you know that you can tell did that for you?
That's
It's
amazing.
not all the time that happens. And the other thing, Chuck Norris also, he had a demonstration with us on the atrium of the mall. It was a 2-story mall called Wall Plaza, Wall Street Plaza, and it's still in Tarzana, California. And I remember one of our students called the LA Times, and one reporter went there, took pictures and everything. Next thing I know, there was a full page on the back of on the sports section of me and Chuck Norris putting a chokehold on me, and the title read "Ambassadors of the Gentle Art," and it just kind of
Wow.
threw the spiel in regards to who we were, what we were doing, and then you have Chuck Norris, and at that time Chuck Norris was still right before he did his TV show Walker Texas Ranger.
Sure.
He was still doing the movie, so he still had a very high visibility with the media and a lot of following. He still does, with the old crowd. But we literally, the phone didn't stop ringing. And we didn't have any
amazing.
knowledge on how to run a school. All we did is answer the phone, and probably we didn't follow any script.
Oh, sure.
Hey, come on here and stuff. And people kept
To
coming
be
to
fair,
the
though,
roof.
most schools in that time didn't have phone scripts. Or
Yeah, so I
anything.
guess, man, when you have the endorsement of a celebrity, if anything else, at a time like that, and it was just like, you just was a push,
That's
And then
awesome.
from that point on, I went to Texas also through his initiative, because he started doing the TV show. He moved to Texas in 1992, and I used to travel with him. I was, out of all the brothers, the one that taught him the most. I was his main instructor in jiu-jitsu, so I did several occasions. I went for different trips with him out of the country, whenever he had movies anywhere.
And you were on the show too, right?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
few
Well,
times?
the show, when I first came to Dallas, before I built my gym was inside his TV studio, by the way.
Oh wow.
He would just get me work every freaking week. I got beat up by Chuck Norris. How many people can claim? How did you start your life in Dallas? Getting beat up by the man.
Well,
Chuck
more
Norris.
impressive is you lived, right? With
Yeah,
all the myth behind Chuck Norris.
Well, that's one thing about Chuck. He's so merciful. You know,
Yep.
when he comes, it seems like he's killing you, but he's just being nice to you in a firm way.
Now, I heard a story that he accidentally put you to sleep once on set. Is that true?
Yeah. I was wearing a collar shirt, and on the fight scene, he wanted to put me out with a choke. But the problem when you do the scene, the take took too long to get the cut.
Sure.
And the pressure was in. It was not strong enough to make me tap. But if you keep holding for a while,
Yeah, the time
and I
frame.
did feel, man, I think I'm gonna pass out on this thing here. For a moment, I wanted to interrupt the scene and tell Chuck to stop squeezing. But then I thought in my head, this is the reaction that they want to see. Me. So literally, I went out for real, but just briefly. He kind of let go, and then later I taught him said, when you fake the choke, put the collarbone pressure on the collarbone, instead of on the neck. So you can put all the pressure you want, and it doesn't matter.
See, that's dedication to the role right there,
Yeah,
right?
I made it look real.
Awesome. Now, I posted in a couple of our Facebook groups, just seeing if people had questions for you for
Sure.
today. So one of them specifically was about teaching classes, and how do you handle females matching up with males and making it a comfortable environment in a class?
All right, so there are two type of prospects, female students. The ones that know enough about jiu-jitsu that they don't care much. They want to get good at the grappling game, the ground. Because for female students, if you really want to work on that self-defense aspect, I think you should go for it. And you shouldn't mind training with the opposite sex, because a lot of the attacks in self-defense, more likely than not, against a female can happen and will happen from the opposite sex, against them. Now, I think there's an education process, like these students at my gym, the males, they're educated about how to proceed when they train with a student, female. And the female, before they actually are phased into the class, I partner up. I have some other female students. They actually, their task is to pair up right off the bat, initially.
So help
with,
them feel
the female
comfortable.
student, and then guys who are not too big or intimidating, they become the second tier in regards to training partners. And then after they break the ice on those two, then it makes easier the transition to go to whoever else, But I do have also a testing program I'm doing mainly for women. It's a women's only class. It's called WHAMS, WHAM.
Okay.
WHAMS, and it's all about self-defense, only women. I have a female assistant that helps them run the show. And a lot of the female students, they just go to their route right off the bat. And after they finish the program, it's a 90-day course. They can choose to go for level 2. It's not rank-based. So, just the basics on self-defense. But many of them start to show interest. Okay, I want to do more of the ground stuff now that I know of.
That makes sense.
The whole intricacy of it.
And I think it's important, like you said, too, that you're educating the people on that, hey, in a real self-defense situation, this is more likely to happen. Whereas I think sometimes martial arts schools just assume that the women know what could happen, and they may be uncomfortable. So I think that's a great way to go about it. Another question asked on Facebook was, what is your focus when it comes to teaching new students? 'Cause I know a lot of times they may not have the control or have developed the control that some of the higher belts have. And sort of second part to that question is, how do you teach them about avoiding injury?
All right. I got 3 things.
Okay.
First of all, don't try to explain anything for somebody that doesn't know anything about what you're talking about. It's all about show and tell. Show first,
Excellent.
tell later. Number 1. Hey guys, look each other in the face. You, put your 2 hands on the guy's shoulder. You, grab one hand and slide your arm up in front, grab the head. So let's say I'm demonstrating as I'm
Explaining.
talking, show and tell. Because they don't have, if they have to figure out what is he talking about? You could be telling very clearly, but their language is not yet translated into their motor skills.
Sure.
So show and tell, then mock. Okay, mock time. Show and tell, mock time, meaning you're faking that you know. All right, guys. So you're not expecting the guy to do right. You're just telling him, let's pretend that you know what you're doing. Go to the sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. I give the cues. They're all visual. You know what I'm saying?
good.
Okay, and then they mock the technique. And then the third one is show time. Now you have to show me that you know. You know what I'm saying?
awesome.
So now I have the. So they went to those 2 stages. We're all doing together. I think for an instructor, the best thing you can do against somebody who's brand new, don't talk much, show more, and do at the same time. You have a training partner pre-selected, your assistant instructor, and literally, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you keep doing, and you're gonna see. Don't worry about correcting everybody. All at the same time, if you see somebody make a mistake, you call the attention of the person, not calling the person out, but all right, guys, if you guys are doing like this, make sure you do like that. So you already correct them on the go, and eventually, after a while, the motor skills kick in. You know?
The great thing about that too is a lot of people in the class might be making a similar mistake.
Yeah,
so
you
just
kill
by
that
getting-
right off the bat. You
awesome.
anticipate problem before it happens, and you don't make anybody feel self-conscious about, oh, I cannot do that, I'm not good, or I'm too incompetent, this and that. No, you don't even talk to you see somebody make a mistake there, you're already making your observation with your training partner, and you don't call out any names. Hey guys, if any of you are doing this or that, do like this instead. You know, it great because, like you said, it helps the one who is making the mistake. It helps the one who's not yet making the mistake know that it should be something that you shouldn't do. And do scripts when they go for practice. I have 2 sides on the mat. One is called the chill side, chill zone, kill zone. You cannot go to the kill zone until you pass through the chill zone.
That's
You know what I'm
excellent.
saying? So the chill zone is for people that have no experience, little experience, or some experience. The kill zone is not that you're going to kill each other, but you can go at a faster pace. You're more equipped to spar, if
To be
if
a
you
little
can
bit
call
more
that.
aggressive.
Yeah. And just on this chill zone, all I do, I repeat the same class with different levels of intensity. All right, you're going to try to do this now, but I teach the partner what to do more than I teach the person what I want him to do.
Sure.
Because if you have a partner that knows what they need to do to feed the person who's practicing the technique, the reaction, it goes so much faster,
That's excellent.
and the results are much better.
So you're having the partner then add a little bit more resistance at certain points.
Yeah.
And just make it a little bit more challenging.
I
as
give you
they
an
get it down.
example. If I teach somebody to do a guard defense or a sweep, I'll teach them how to retain the guard right off the bat first. Because
Sure.
if you don't have any guard retention, you're not gonna keep anybody in the guard. So for the partner on top, I teach them one basic pass. Okay, guys, you hold the belt, hold the knee, jump around to the side. Do like a
And go to side
jumpy
control.
pass, side control.
Yep.
Do it again. Okay, at the bottom, he's gonna do this to you. Okay, he does that, switch grip, go to the side, pull, drag the arm. Then,
Excellent.
So, before the person who's doing the technique has a chance to execute, I already educated the training partner what reaction I want from him to make sure that the other guy will get the most out of the practice.
That's great. That's such a smart way to teach it too. So I know we focus a lot in the martial arts industry on teaching kids, but what do you suggest to students that maybe, I don't want to say older, but more experienced and have like tight joints or previous injuries? What are some good tips when teaching those students to make sure that they don't further complicate things, but also to help give them confidence at the same time in their training?
Sure.
And I know we talked a little bit about this last night.
There are certain principles there in terms of body positioning that will help you so much. Like, for instance, in terms of injuries, if you have whatever injury, like a lot of guys can have a knee problem, a lower back problem, a shoulder problem, or neck problem.
Sure.
Sometimes the wrist, fingers, a lot of grapplers, they wear out their fingers because they grab in a certain way. And there are ways you can prevent injuries. Just the way you hold the gi. Like if you have grab a gi and you turn the collar out and hold a little deeper the grip, it's hard for people to rip, and even if they do, it doesn't damage your fingers compared to if you just grab the collar in a certain way.
Sure.
But I think most of all, for anybody of any age, in particular for older people, and even people in this case with pre-existing situations, shoulder, this and that, you teach them how to train, not necessarily the technique. Okay, this is what's happening. You're gonna start facing each other. And let's say if you're not doing a takedown, you're just on your knees, doing it from your knees sparring. Okay? If the guy pushes you, you don't fall back straight on your back. You fall on your side, and then you put the guy in the guard, so you're not rolling over your knees.
Sure.
Just an example like that. So you do preventative positioning, which just kind of get them out of harm's way right off the bat with certain things that are prone to happen. So you kill the problem before it happens. And second, it's about pace. If you're passing the guard, find the sweet spot. Don't try to pass the guard. Try to be safe and in good balance. So you just minimize the goal just to be in a good position instead of trying to get the pass.
Sure.
The pass happens after you're in a good position. So by doing that, you slow things down and you actually make your techniques sharper. If you're at the bottom, the guy gets on top of you, you want to escape. Don't worry about the escape. Don't die. Meaning, if the guy crushes you to death, you can't breathe, you die.
Oh, sure.
So hug the guy and keep the guy close to you. I call that keep the enemy closer, And then lift your knee up, spread your knees out, make it hard for the guy to mount on you, and just hold him. Don't do crap. And now hold him captive. Turn your head this way so his arm is trapped on you. So I teach the guy at the bottom actually to be the one in control, even when he's in a bad position. Because in jiu-jitsu, all that matters is who's controlling who.
Sure.
It doesn't matter who is where. You see what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
So when you do that to those guys and you take away the fear of being in a bad position because you still learn how to be in a certain level of control, then a new door opens for the guys. They never rush. And when you don't rush, the odds of you getting hurt are much less because you're not trying to exert, you're not trying to move faster than you should, you're not trying to do something you're not sure about yet, you're going in steps.
What I love about that is I always think of, when I'm rolling with someone, I always think of it as a position battle. But what you're saying makes a lot more sense because it's really a control battle. Like you can, as long as you have control, even if you're on the bottom, the other person's probably going to be using a lot more energy than you, and it gives you more options.
That's the point you talked about. Who's spending more energy?
Exactly.
And that's where the whole game goes,
Oh, that was an eye-opener for me.
There
That was awesome. Thank you. So I always see videos of you rolling with students, doing tutorials, and you being extremely active in the sport still. How important is it for instructors to still be training?
Okay, there are 3 points there. The first point is what led you to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times when you get older, if you became knowledgeable in a certain field, if you accomplished certain level as a competitor, whatever it is that your purpose was at one point in time, that age, being older, changed to a certain degree. Like I'm not competing as much anymore, I don't compete anymore. Does that mean I don't row anymore? Does that mean, I have to be, just not do? So I try within, of course, the limits of my day, how my body feels,
Sure.
what other obligations I have. I think you have to feed your body enough jiu-jitsu that the flame of the passion remains. For instance, what kills people's martial arts passion is stagnation. You know what I'm saying? And stagnation only happens when you change the purpose of what martial art means to you. Martial arts for me means keeping the passion alive. I cannot help my students if I don't invest in myself. You see what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
So for me, rolling, I don't want to prove anything. If the guy taps me out, I high five. Before, I guess when you're in your 20s, it becomes a pride thing. Oh
Sure.
man, who taps who? If you get tapped, you get pissed off, you punch the wall, you get all red faced, cussing at somebody. No, man. Hey, good. Come here now. Show me what you did. Do it again. That's what I do. If somebody gets me some, I'm more about researching and learning. I'm not about proving anything.
That's awesome.
But in doing so, you equip the other students that have less experience with insights that you would not have gained if you're not still, to a certain degree, active on the mat. So for the instructors out there, I think it's not for your students, not for your wife, it's not how, for anybody thinks, it's for your own journey. You gotta keep the passion alive by keeping your perspective of growth still remaining in regards to the martial arts that you do. You gotta go to, and the thing with jiu-jitsu that I think differs from other styles is jiu-jitsu, for all the martial arts I've seen, you have more details, more stuff that you can find out and add. My goodness, it never stops. When you think you know something, you still have different ways you can tweak that thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's never ending.
That's amazing.
We need many lives in order to learn all the jiu-jitsu stuff, and even then, it's not enough.
I love that. Obviously, you are one of the greatest champions in martial arts, and I know that many people are competing, whether it be in jiu-jitsu, sport martial arts, whatever the aspect. What separates the mindset from someone that's just competing and someone that becomes a champion?
Okay, so you imagine like a marathon. Okay, everybody starts in a certain way. Some guys right off the bat, they will not have all the tools necessary because nowadays with the number of competitors
Sure.
and the number of matches and the game that if you're doing, let's say, sports jiu-jitsu, for instance, it becomes intricate because you can see a lot of times two very accomplished competitors fighting for positioning for 9 minutes, something that doesn't have that much action. From a public perspective, it can even be a boring match.
Sure.
And then in the last minute, something happens, and the chess takes place. I don't like that kind of game, but it's not the competitor's fault. It is the format of the tournament that forces, I guess, different people to fight in a certain way.
Sure.
But the winning edge is going to always be on the mental in addition to the physical. I would say 2/3 of the champions probably have equivalent skills to the guy who's the runner-up in the third place. But they do have the little extra persistence, stubbornness. You know what I'm saying? And I think some people can train their mind that way. I used to read a book before I was world champion, Mental Toughness for Training. It's still an all-time classic in my library, because it gives you rituals. And I think rituals is very important for you to get your mind on the right place if you're going for a competitive event. And also learning how to breathe. I now, I do breathing exercises. My cousin Hickson, for instance, he attributes half of his jiu-jitsu to his breathing. It keeps you focused, it keeps you relaxed, it keeps you going. You know what I'm saying? When everything else may not be there for you. So, the rituals, definitely, you have to have some because you can get distracted by many things. How mean looking your opponent is, or how much noise you have on the crowd, how hungry you are. So you got to overcome, and of course, preparation, have good guidance with instructors that push you and guide you properly, and training partners that are there for you. So,
that's awesome. And I know you said reading that book gave you some different practices to help you with that mindset. Are there any tips to people that maybe find themselves with that being the aspect of their training that they're missing? Are there any tips you can give them to help develop?
The mental?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. The mental, some people use the music. Sometimes right before they pick like a good soundtrack that kind of, when you want to be motivated, you listen to a good speech.
Sure.
Oh man, your motivational speech. Will Smith on YouTube talk about the dream, pursuing the dream, all pumped up. You have some of those things that pump you up before you start, but then after a while, I would say 5 minutes before you're actually on the mat, make sure you're warmed up and warm. Like you get move around and kind of put a jacket or something, stay warm. Because it helps you burn your first wind when you start. The match goes too fast, you're not fully warmed up. Some people feel the grip dying out.
Yep.
The second thing is don't make eye contact with your opponent until you shake hands right before the match starts. Meaning, if the guy's there, don't get distracted by him. The guy's in front of you, you look to the guy's chest. It's not that you're avoiding looking at him. And then when it's time for you to shake hands, you shake hands, look to the guy in the face and say, may the best win. Say that honestly.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to be the best fighter. It could be the smarter, the best on the brains, the best on the strategy. A lot of times strategy can overcome techniques. You go against a guy who's better than you technically, but you have better stamina than the guy, so you can push the pace, wear the guy out, and then his technique's not going to be as effective. So you have so many variables there.
That's
but
great.
You have to have that thing. And the other thing is this. I don't care if I win or if I lose. I'll make sure that guy that I had the match with never wants to fight me again. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
So your goal is not necessarily about the results. Is I'm going to pursue this thing all the way from beginning to end. So these are some of the things that I recommend.
That's huge. That is awesome. That's great for anyone training in any style of martial arts. I love it. I know that, so one thing that I was really excited about talking to you this weekend is that you're going to be putting together a university and do some training, which I think people are going to go crazy over. Can you give us just a little preview or insight about what that's going to be about?
Sure. So, so imagine this. I spent 50 years training, and you learn more about the things you shouldn't have done than the things that you now know you do right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people that go through the pains, not necessarily on experience, but learning and breaking down a technique and how to actually be faster on your learning and retaining the information in a way that you can put to use right away. If I teach you a move right now, I want you to walk out of here right now, and if you're going to go grapple with your training partner, to pull that move off right away. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like an accelerated learning approach.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that's going to make miracles. Everybody needs the time to practice, and figure things out. But I cut to the crap. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
I've seen a lot of stuff that it looks good, but it holds you back. And nail down to what is the thing you need the most. What would I like the most when I was a white belt? What are the things I needed the most when I was a blue belt?
That's huge.
And when you backtrack that way, anything that was missing prior, if you're a black belt now, you're going to fill that gap right now as it is, because probably you have this problem since you started, but it was never fixable because you didn't know how to. So you had to cover by adding other techniques that probably you don't need, just to overshadow the problem that you never solved.
Sure.
See what I'm saying?
That's
so,
awesome.
In regards to university, simplicity, clarity, and faster results. That's all I care about.
That's huge. And I know many people would kill to learn from you, and this gives an opportunity for people, no matter where they are in the world, to be able to get tips and training from you, which is amazing.
Well, we'll help. That's the thing about the technology of today. You have no excuse not to be anywhere, anytime, with everyone.
That's awesome. What we like to do with all of our guests, we just end with some quick fire questions.
Quick fire, man.
So first one, what is the one thing in the martial arts industry that you would change immediately to improve it as a whole?
One thing I'll change. Okay. Guy Vaynerchuk touched on that. For me, from my perspective, think more about legacy than currency.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? So your money will come, but build your legacy as you do it.
Awesome. What is the one book that you would recommend for all of our readers to go out and buy today? All of our listeners, I should say, not readers.
I like Grant Cardone, the 10X. I don't say that every single aspect of it, but I think we're all conditioned to this thing about, make it your goals just manageable or tangible and stuff. No, man. Shoot to as far as you can. 10X. Even if you don't 10X, you're going to 5X. Even if you don't 5X, you're going to triple X. You know? So be ambitious, even if you miss it.
That's awesome. What is your choice of music to work out to?
Man, I'm a rock guy.
Rock guy.
I like classic rock in particular.
Like 80s rock?
Man, I like the 80s. I like a lot Led Zeppelin.
Awesome.
I like some of the dark ones like the Cult.
Nice.
Steve Miller Band. So I have different ones.
So what I would like to do for you is, because I've been a DJ since I was 16. We have our music streaming.
You're gonna do a playlist?
I want to do a Carlos Machado workout mix.
Hey, he's on, brother.
We'll throw some quotes from you in there and use it as a way that people can be motivated as they train.
Oh, he's on.
I'll talk to you and get a list of songs that are your favorites, and we'll make it sound good. Awesome. Yeah. What is the one app on your phone that you can't live without? One
app on my phone. Okay, that's funny because I'm a soccer fanatic. And I love checking out all the scores. As a matter of fact, the European League, they're playing the Champions League right now.
Oh, really?
So what I do, it's called Live Score. I check that. I can see any game and check on any score at any given time. So it's funny because you're talking about productivity here, running the business.
Sure.
But I think you have to have something for you to divert your mind from and blank out your mind. So for me, soccer is entertaining in that sense. So don't leave on that. And Bleachers Report to keep all the updates and all the sports.
Yeah, I'm a Cubs fan, but lately it's been hard to watch them this last couple of games, so I hear you. All right, last question is, I'm blanking. Oh, what is your favorite martial arts movie of all time?
Favorite of all time? Okay, so everybody's biased towards Karate Kid.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't say it's the favorite of all time, but it was the most meaningful because I met the person, was Lone Wolf McCabe. I'll tell you why.
It's a great movie.
Because I really like that movie. The actress, Barbara, I forgot her last name. She was hot. Just to respectfully saying. But Chuck Norris, I didn't know the iconic figure that he had at the time. I knew he was the star of the movie. And then 2 years later, I was 16 when I watched the movie. 2 years later, I met him in person in Las Vegas on the seminar that my cousin and I went to teach at his convention. And then I got to see the guy and I saw a real person. So for me, it became even more meaningful because I saw that the hero on the screen was actually a true hero in life. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
What he did for me was heroic.
And that's not something you see very often either, which makes it even more impactful. That's excellent. Carlos, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to your training mix. It's going to be epic. And is there anything that you're doing that you would like to tell our listeners about?
Okay, so if I can say something, besides any other projects and things they're going, I know that different people have different needs in regards to guidance in jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So I have quite a few karate schools that have used jiu-jitsu programs based upon the curriculum and guidelines that I recommend.
Sure.
So I have the RCJ Machado affiliation that I run with my brothers John and Roger, and also Jiu-Jitsu Hacker. It's a closed group where I usually once a week, twice a week, I put different hacks that you can kind of go. It's all Facebook Live clips.
That's great.
Made on the moment, down to the simple and clear. So if you guys want to check that out, go to Jiu-Jitsu Hacker Unlimited and send a request, and then we can go from there. And other than that, if you're in Dallas, you must visit my place, RCJ Machado Farmers Branch Academy.
That's excellent. Thank you so much
You're
again.
welcome,
It was great.
Thank you.
You're the man. Man, that was such an interesting interview with Carlos Machado. I loved hearing about his journey through the martial arts world, his relationship with Chuck Norris, and then also those teaching hacks that he gave us are great. He is one of the best people. If you don't follow him online, start following him. He can break down like a super complicated technique and make it so easy to understand. And he really has a gift for what he does, and you can hear the passion for not only being in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but the passion for teaching and just spreading the style all over the world. And Carlos is really an inspiration to me, and I hope that he's inspired you guys as instructors and school owners to really, really put everything you have, put your heart and soul into what you're doing, which I know many of you guys do already. But I hope you guys definitely got some inspiration from that interview. Next, I want to jump into the punch in the face segment.
Now it's time to take a punch in the face.
So today I want to focus on integrity as a martial arts instructor. One of the things that I have a big problem with is when martial arts instructors ask their students to do things that they're not willing to do themselves. I find that as a lack of integrity. And here's what I mean. I understand that as lifelong martial artists, for many of you, that there's certain injuries that you develop and your joints get tight at certain times, and you may have hip injuries or knee injuries or whatever it may be, but there's no excuse for not training and practicing. There really isn't. And you can't use your injuries as an excuse. I remember my dad, when he had his academy open, he had a Vietnam veteran that came to train. And the guy, his name was Jim Patridge, came in a wheelchair, had no legs, was deaf in one ear and partially blind. He had every single reason possible to give an excuse to not train and to not practice. But he was probably one of the hardest working students, made it up to his black belt and beyond, and was really, really an inspiration and a motivator for a lot of people in the school, because when they saw him do what he did and do it at a high level, there's really no excuse for anybody else to not be giving their best effort and not training. So, as I said, he had every reason to give up and not practice. He didn't do it. And I see all sorts of excuses from instructors on why they're not practicing or training. You know, if you're not practicing or training, then you can't ask your students to do it. It's as simple as that. So make sure you guys are finding time to consistently practice, train, hone your skills, because your students should be able to watch your technique and be inspired and see a goal point for themselves that they're going to try and reach with that technique. And if you can't perform the technique and make it inspiring, whether it's with power or just the technical aspect of it, then you need to make sure that you're stepping up your training. And that's our punch in the face portion for this week. Guys, I'm excited. Next week we have Ed Turney joining the show. He is a social media wizard, has one of the most successful adult programs in the country. So we'll be sitting down and talking to him. See you then.
LevelUpMyMusic.com. Level Up Music, the #1 music streaming service for martial arts schools. Get clean, family-friendly, motivating music mixes that your students and parents will love. It's so easy to use. All you need is a phone, tablet, or computer with an internet connection, and you're ready to start streaming. Upgrade the atmosphere in your school. Get started today.